Our next artwork is the Dying Gallic Trumpeter, and it is believed to be from the same series of original bronze works by the artist Epigenos. So you see that Epigenos, question mark, is this the same stuff people talk about? Dying Gallic Trumpeter, Roman marble copy of the Greek bronze original. This was also then placed in the larger public setting, cast in bronze, and would have been something that we would have interacted with. We would have walked around. It was placed on the ground, and what we see is, well, exactly as the title suggests. We see a Gaul, and he is dying, and this Gaul served as a trumpeter. We can tell he's a Gaul because of those same elements I described before. The Gauls were known to be these tall, very lean, muscular figures who fought naked and had big, bushy hair and big, bushy mustaches. You see him here. He's got that. He also has around his neck an item of status, meaning that he must have been of some kind of importance, maybe a noble within the larger chiefdom. What he's wearing is called a torque. And we have found evidence of a lot of these at Celtic sites all over Europe. A torque is a twisted, or not always, is a decorative necklace that is worn close to the neck, and it can be made of various materials, the most fine and expensive being gold, and it could be in various design forms. The one that I've shown you here I chose because it's similar to the one he wears, but the gold has been manipulated to look like a corded rope. Now, these types of jewelry items were worn by men and women in the Celtic world, and you would put them on by bending the metal and then putting it on, and then it would remain on you. There is obviously evidence of you taking it off and things like that, because we do have some that have stress breaks and repairs around the bending part of the torque. But these were used as symbols of authority because they were symbols of wealth and power. It's expensive to have paid for this elaborate craftsmanship of this very precious metal to just hang around your neck. So think of it as a portable identification card, letting everybody know I'm important. It is part of Celtic culture because for most Celtic people, they live very transient lives, not necessarily nomadic, but move around a lot. And so rather than having a major status symbol be permanent, like a massive structure, a temple, a palace, you would then identify yourself with something portable, something that you could walk with you, move with you. And as you interacted with people, they would know how to then treat you based on your identification, like a torque. All of this to say, we, as the people of Pergamon, walking around these bronze sculptures, we would know exactly who or what this dude is all about. We would know he's a Gaul. We know he's a Gaul of some kind of importance, maybe a nobleman, and he has been mortally injured. Do you see the wound? Do you see it now? Oh, it's right there. This man has been stabbed in the lungs. And again, remember, in bronze, we would have had this bronze polished body, and then the blood that is thickly spilling out of that wound would have been that bright pink of the copper. It would have really stood out as we looked upon him. Now, he's also identified as a trumpeter because there's his trumpet. It's a horned trumpet. His sword has fallen to his side, and we see that he's fallen to the ground from this wound. He's fallen to the ground. His sword is broken. You see it there? The blade has broken. And he's fallen onto this circular shape. There's a trumpet there, but this larger circle shape, do you know what that is? That's his shield. So he's fallen down. His weapon for defense, he's fallen on top of the shield. He can no longer protect himself. His dying body weight is on top of that shield. He cannot defend himself with his sword. His blade is broken. The fact that he is also a trumpeter adds to the drama of the event. I'm sorry, I just had to make sure that you were still awake. How does him being a trumpeter add to the drama of the event? We see a man who is mortally wounded. He's fallen on his shield. He cannot protect himself. A trumpeter is a very specific and very important figure in an army. The trumpeter will send out or trumpet out signals that will then tell the rest of the men what kind of formations, if they should come in on the sides, if they should pull back, if they should shift left, if they should shift right. So the directions of an army, this is before you have walkie-talkies or Bluetooth. So the direction of an army is given by the trumpeter. The direction of the army is in that trumpet. His soldiers are not going to be receiving any more information from him. So he is doomed. He is dying. And by the simple fact that he was a trumpeter, it leads us to the conclusion that his army will also die. They have no signals. They have no reference. It is chaos, and they will die. That's drama. That's Hellenistic. So we see the drama of the event. Okay. What about diagonal lines? You see diagonal lines? Yeah, his whole body is at a diagonal, right? If his whole body is at a diagonal, and I said that diagonal lines indicate motion, the motion here isn't that he's going to spring up and be like, hey, what's up? I'm going to fight some more. The motion is this very delicate rising and falling of a man who is dying. So we see him struggling to stand up, but also at the same time becoming weaker and weaker. His lungs are slowly filling with blood. We can almost hear the gurgle and the heavy, labored breath. You know, we've seen other dying warriors, right? Let's just do a comparison. The archaic period, we saw the dying warrior, the newer of the two dying warriors from the Temple of Aphaia, and we were like, oh my gosh, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so realistic. Look at the veins. Look at the sense of movement, the understanding of the body. What about the Hellenistic? Yeah, it's even more intense. The understanding of the body is to the point where we get a sense of the weight of those hip bones as they sag. And then, do I have any more details? He's got these veins pulsing in his forearms. We see the rollover of his flesh on his tummy, on his belly. Look at the toes. So here, the realism or the sense of a real body in front of you is amplified. And it's amplified in order to give you more drama, right? Here we are standing from the front. Okay. Now, where is my, look at this. To give you a sense of scale, this is it as it sits today. It's been restored or cleaned up, and it's at the, I think it's at the Capitoline Museum in Rome. And to give you a sense of scale, this is just some picture I found on the internet, but I liked it because this guy was there to give you a sense of how big this piece is. So this guy is over life size. And see how he's resting on this very shallow platform. It's been placed on this taller thing for the museum. But the original was on the ground. And we would have seen it by looking down at him. Now, let's think about that other characteristic of the Hellenistic. Activation of space. Well, he's not looking up, so he's not activating space. Not exactly. Okay. He's not looking out and activating the space, but he's pulling us into his space. Because as we walk around, we see this side of him as well. What do we see? We see a back, and we see some feet. What we see is a vulnerable man. In art, a shortcut to giving you a sense of vulnerability is to have an open or exposed back. What do you mean? What's an open or exposed back? A closed back is when your shoulders are tight back here. Open back means you're showing more of your back. Think about it as being exposed and vulnerable, because think about a fight. It's easy to defend yourself from the front. It's hard to defend yourself from the back. So an open back is used as a way of expressing vulnerability. And this open back is because he's collapsing in on himself. He's slowly suffocating from that lung wound. So we see a man vulnerable with the open back. And then check out this foot right here. Well, I told you that they fought naked, sure. But why have this foot so specifically directed out at us? Vulnerability. Because the pad of our feet, they're so sensitive. Even, you can walk around and build up a lot of calluses, but think about, have you ever walked on a Lego? You want to die. It's painful. So a bare foot is also used in art as a symbol of vulnerability. So we see this vulnerable man dying in front of us. We see the trumpet indicating that the rest of his men will also die. It's dramatic, right? Look at his face. You can almost hear him, his raspy voice, or his raspy inhale. Going back to this being our enemy. Why would Epigenos depict such a man of such strength and not being a Greek. It's because we defeated them. And we, the Greeks, the people of Pergamon, are even better. We are superior. Here we have this superior warrior who has been wounded, and he will die in front of us, beneath us. The drama! The drama! Oh, it's Hellenistic. It's Hellenistic.